Welcome everyone once again. I'm Mayor Mike Wiza and we're talking Point. With us today I have a couple of guests, Edie Turnbull and Azende Coley from College Possible. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, when we're really close to the holiday season, Christmas is coming up and New Year's and all the festivities. So it's a little chilly outside, but you've got some cool things to talk about. Tell us a little bit about what College Possible is.
Happy to. College Possible, in a nutshell, helps students from low-income backgrounds, most of whom are the first ones in their families to go to college, helps them get into college and then persist and earn that final degree from college.
Okay. So how did the program get started?
So it got started in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee in 2008. It's actually a national program that began in the Twin Cities in the year 2000, and then when they decided to expand, their first expansion site was Milwaukee. So they came to Milwaukee in 2008, and the program grew pretty exponentially there, mainly because there was a real need. A lot of schools that just didn't have enough resources to help students. But also because our program gets very great outcomes. And so everybody saw how important the program was to students in Milwaukee. Then a few years ago, I was talking with some of our legislators from across the state at the Capitol in Madison, and several said, "We know about your program in Milwaukee. We think your program in Milwaukee is really great. What about all the students who are the first ones in their families and come from more low-income backgrounds who are not outside of Milwaukee, who are all over in different parts of the state? They need the resources too. Have you ever thought about serving them?" And so we decided to pilot a program.
Okay.
And after looking at a lot of different options in different parts of the state, we settled on piloting it here at SPASH, Stevens Point Area Senior High School, and started then last year. So in the fall of 2018, we started here in Stevens Point.
Great.
Yeah.
So walk us through how a student first gets into the program and how College Possible assists that student through the program.
Sure. So a student, when they're juniors in high school, and really that whole college journey is starting to ramp up, that's when we start working with students. And in order to get into our program, a student needs to have at least a 2.0 GPA or better. And in fact, our program really focuses the majority of our energy on the students who are in the academic middle. Students who can do college and do very well in college, but most of the time they tend to be overlooked. Most of the time in most schools, counselors are spending their time either with the students who are on the lower end, making sure that they're able to stay in and graduate from high school, or they're working with very high achieving students who are already on a path to college. And then what has a tendency to happen because of strained resources is there are a lot of students in the middle there who just people aren't talking to them as much about what comes after high school. So that's what we do. We work with those students. They need to be a 2.0 or better for a GPA. They need to come from low-income households or backgrounds, and they need to want to go to college. We're not in any way, shape, or form saying that college is the best thing for everyone, because we know it's not. But if a student does want to go, we can be there and help them navigate, walk alongside them. The college going process is very complicated, and there are special obstacles that happen when you're the first one in your family who's going to go.
You don't have a lot of resources to say, hey, how did you do it? Or what did you like? And what am I doing wrong here? So it's nice that you are able to kind of fill that gap for those students who potentially could get overlooked.
Yeah.
So once they're in the program, how does College Possible mentor them through that college path?
The students have a coach. We call them coaches,
Hmm.
not athletic coaches, but more like college coaches,
There
right?
you go.
Who will work with them throughout the whole year. So during their junior year, their coach will be working with them on key aspects for college going during the junior year, like ACT prep. So helping them get the ACT score that will unlock admissions to the school that they're interested in going to and help unlock financial aid for things like that. They'll also work on helping them compile and do a lot of the research around what kind of college students want to go to. A lot of students, if you ask them, will say, yes, I want to go to college, but then you say, well, what school do you want to go to, or what are you thinking? They just throw out the first college that they
Hmm.
know of, right? So whether that's Stevens Point or Madison or Marquette or the University of Florida tends to be pretty popular. Everybody wants to go to Florida,
Especially
especially
in the winter.
today. Yeah, yeah,
Especially in the winter.
yes.
Good.
So they help students do the research. So determine, do they want to go to a really large institution, or would they be more comfortable at a small institution? Do they have an idea about what they want to study, in which case they should be looking at what majors are offered at what schools? Do they want a college that has, certain types of benefits? Like, do they really want to join a fraternity or a sorority? Do they have those opportunities? So lots of different aspects that really go into kind of coming up with what we call the top 5 list of schools that they would eventually apply to them.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So, Azende, you've gone through the program. Tell us a little bit about your experience, how you got involved. By the way, you're graduating next year, so congratulations there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your experience, how you got involved with the program, and how it's been.
Well, I went to Milwaukee High School of the Arts. So starting there for my junior year, for the most part, I just was studying and just kind of like carrying around, just mostly focusing on just graduating college. I mean, not graduating college, but graduating high school.
Mhm.
And that was like my main goal. And for most of my like family and my parents, they didn't really go to college, and they didn't have any idea what college was going to be.
Yeah.
They didn't know what a FAFSA was. They didn't know how to study for the ACT. They didn't even know there was a ACT, honestly. um, and then just going through the process, it was really like interesting just being able to connect a little bit better with my peers and just seeing like how much we've all grown, like kind of looking back at it now.
Right.
But starting out, it was like really informational. I learned so much about colleges, and not only about colleges, but about myself too, and just like the mentoring aspect of it. Because it kind of teaches you a little bit more of that mature aspect of like, you have to prepare to be like a little bit more professional, a little bit more well rounded, and a little bit more just eager to just make your mark on the world and just figure out who you want to be. And I thought that was so amazing, and like I love that part about it.
Right.
Um, I really like got to thank like my coach Amanda. She taught me a lot about just trying to navigate through the ins and outs of just college possible. After my junior year, I applied to a few schools. I got accepted to Stevens Point. I was really excited about
It's
Stevens
like the
Point,
best school in the country, I hear.
honestly, right? I also ended up meeting Scott West as well, and he was like a really big push. I love Scott West. Scott
Yeah.
West is like a commodity. I also went on a few trips here with College Possible, and we was like touring different schools, and I just love the environment at Stevens Point. It was just everybody was waving, everybody was friendly, completely different from the Milwaukee culture that I grew up and got accustomed to, and I just fell in love, and I couldn't wait until to graduate and be able to be up here. And even after I graduated, like College Possible was still there, like supporting me. They asked me at the beginning of the semester, at the end of the semester, in the beginning, in the middle of the semester, like how I'm doing, how my classes, what classes I'm taking. Is there anything that could help me? Like, can I look at your resume? Like
Mhm.
all these different things that just tried to build me up as a better person. And I just love that. Like it was so like heartwarming to know that like I had a support system outside of my family to like make sure I could actually do the things and achieve the goals I set for myself.
Wonderful. It's funny when you were talking about that, not funny, but really important, because we do believe that Stevens Point UWSP is one of the best campuses in the state.
Right.
But I'm going to have to talk to the chancellor and get him to put you on payroll so you can help market UWSP because your experience is here. So great story. So Edie, when someone is going through the program, what are some of the bigger obstacles that you see from the students in the program that they need extra help on? The FAFSA is a good one because, I mean, when my daughter went to school, they didn't have that stuff when I was going to college. But with my daughter doing all of this, it was a challenge. There's a lot of paperwork involved, and it gets really confusing. But what are some of the challenges that you see?
Some of the challenges revolve around being a student in the academic middle.
Mm-hmm.
So, in working with students who are very high achieving, there are a lot of schools out there that really are going after them, right? You're sought after, I would
Right.
say. Students in the academic middle need to really make their mark. Like Azende was saying, like say, hey, here I am, you want me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we help students really kind of, I don't want to say break through the clutter, but really stand out. And doing that in a few ways, helping them craft their personal statements for their college essays to stand out. And also, we just really accelerate the application process. The majority of our students already have all of their applications in by the beginning of December, whereas for other students, they may only be starting at the beginning of December to apply to schools. Because we know our students need to, in many cases, be the first one in the door, the first ones that you look at, and then to secure that spot on the campus that you want to go to. Other issues that we help with, definitely helping fill out the FAFSA, that can be complicated. And then the process of once you are admitted, a lot of times if you don't know much about college, you might think, well, that's there, I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. But actually, there are so many other things that have to happen in order for you to be enrolled the following fall. Students who enroll the fall right after they graduate from high school have the highest chances of earning a degree. So we focus a lot of our attention on making sure that not only do they earn admission, but that we help them make sure that they've completed all of the different tasks that have to happen in order for them to be there on that first day of school in the fall. Then throughout college, it's a lot of helping them connect to resources. So we typically put resources into 3 buckets. There are academic resources on campus. So a coach, like Azende's coach, Maddie, she knows all about Stevens Point. She knows all about the different academic resources that are on campus, so that if one of her students who's at Stevens Point reaches out to her and says, I just got my first English paper back and it was not good. What should I do? And she will say, actually, there's a writing center on campus. Let's do a 3-way call and we'll connect you with somebody at the writing center so we can set up an appointment and you can go over there. You can see if your professor will accept a rewrite for your paper, or at least you can get better at writing the papers so that the future papers you do better on. So academic resources like that, social resources, believe it or not, connecting on campus is one of the biggest issues that students have. If you are the first one in your family to go, you're already taking a pretty big leap. But a lot of times you'll get to the campus and it'll seem like everybody else knows the code. Everybody else knows how to do all the things. And that's not necessarily so. So the better we're able to help people connect as soon as possible on campus, the better they're able to persist and stay and then earn a degree.
Oh, nice. So that, yeah, I imagine that's it's got to be pretty intimidating being the first one in your family to go to the university and not really know what to expect. The biggest thing is about not knowing the things that you don't know about. right?
Right.
There are things that are going on that you don't always think of, but you want to know about them. Um, that brings up a pretty interesting point. So you have coaches. I assume your coaches are regional. And what qualifications does someone need to become a coach?
That's a great question. We, as an organization, have a strong partnership with AmeriCorps, which is our country's community and national service arm. So we recruit recent college graduates to come and do this, and then we do the heavy lifting of training them. So we have found that it works best with our students if their coach is as close in age to them as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And also that their college experience is very recent. It helps build trust immediately so that if I was to be a coach and I graduated in 19
Yeah, me too.
a while ago, let's say. It would be a lot harder for me over the course of the year to build trust because they would say, well, you're so much older than me, and you went to college such a long time ago. Things have got to be different now. I don't know if I really trust what you're telling me. Whereas because it's a recent college grad who can say, oh, let me tell you, the last time I had to do my FAFSA, I really messed this part up. Then they build trust right away, and through the training that we provide, which is very robust, they're able to work with students and help them address just about any situation that could come up throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, that is important because I filled out my financial aid application on Papyrus. But no, seriously, things are so different. I mean, we have a pretty good working relationship with the UWSP system here, and the chancellor and I meet regularly. Things are so much different than when I was in school. They have now over 200 student-run organizations. They probably had a handful, maybe 2 dozen, when I was on campus. And the whole atmosphere changes. So having someone who's recently experienced that and navigation, if you will, more of a peer mentoring is, I think, is really important. Zende, why don't we talk a little bit more about that? You chose Stevens Point, and I assume there's a reason. Maybe you can tell us the reason. And how was your experience coming here from Milwaukee the first time and getting into the university system?
Right. So going to Milwaukee High School of Arts, I specialize in like visual arts. So I love to do painting, graphic design work, and then everything in between from there. Going into Stevens Point, I did a trip with College Possible, and we like went up and toured, and I was able to meet some of the professors, and I was able to connect on like a really kind of like deep level. I was able to talk to them, figure out like what makes them tick, and like what makes them want to teach, and like just what inspires them. And that kind of made me happy and excited for the future. So when I got here, I kind of already knew the teachers and like what to expect from like the whole college atmosphere. As for like the social side about it, it was a little bit challenging, like I would admit, just coming from like Milwaukee, which is more like a urban diverse setting, to
Right.
like Stevens Point. But I do gotta say, like I found my home here.
Did you?
I did. I did. It was a lot of different resources I was pointed to. So one thing that's really cool about College Possible is that they kind of like tell you your senior year, like, listen, like depending on where you go, there's going to be some type of like cultural differences,
Mm-hmm.
like, and it could be very broad or narrow depending on like the scenario. And within there was like, these are some ways to how to deal about that. And you should connect with students as much as possible. Reach out to ORs, go to different performances or events. And for myself, at first I was a little shy, but I eventually kind of grew out my shell and I started interacting, meeting new people. I joined a fraternity. And then I started working within that organization and other organizations on campus to just like spread my wings. And then since then, I felt like I was able to help those that are going to come after me like find their place here at Stevens Point too.
That's good. So you planning on being a coach?
Potentially, potentially, I think it would be a fun opportunity.
Good, good. Any student organizations that you've been involved in on campus that maybe were related to your coaching experience through College Possible, or or things that you just found were kind of cool?
I would love to say my fraternity,
Uh-huh.
Sigma Tau Gamma. With those group of guys, it's predominantly diverse. So you get that kind of side of creating a community where not too many people like really understand like the Stevens Point area, and you're able to just bring in so many different people, so many different cultures, and you're able to build them up into like noble men, and you're able to teach them like the ins and outs of the college system as well as like how to better themselves and how to be more professional, how to do resumes, how to conduct and public speak, and all these different things. And it was just amazing.
Wow, great, great. So, Edie, you're relatively new to the Stevens Point area, working with SPASH. If there's some SPASH students or parents maybe who are listening or watching the show, how can they find out more about what College Possible does with SPASH students?
Sure. Um, our coaches are here and in the community 1 week out of the month, so they come up and work with students both during the school day, so when students are have time available during the school day,
Hmm.
they'll work with their coach on various different things. And then we also have after-school sessions for a couple of hours after school.
Okay.
I would encourage any parent who is interested to stop at the school
Okay.
and come to the Career Center at SPAS, which is where our coaches are located, and find out when they're going to be there. And our coaches are great, Julia and Rachel. They are recent college graduates, right? And very much attuned to what's going on with their students, but also super warm and welcoming. So if a parent wants to just sit down and chat and say, I really want to know what I could do for my son or daughter to help make the college path a little bit easier, they're more than happy to do that. And even though we do have set cohorts, like a set number of students that we'll work with, both coaches, Julia and Rachel, will work with anybody who comes in.
Okay.
So if a student comes in, and we see this happen a lot, just like Azende talked about how reaching down and helping students who are like him acclimate and get comfortable on campus. We also, our coaches will be working with students who will say, hey, would you help my friend?
Oh,
Because
nice.
I did the FAFSA and she said she hasn't done it yet, and I know how important it is to get it done soon. Can I bring her in? She's not in the program. And every time they will say, absolutely. Come on in. We love to see that when our students are looking out for their friends. And we'll be happy to work honestly with anybody in the school who wants help. But I do have to put in a plug, frankly, for the counseling department at SPASH. They are such great and talented individuals and have really welcomed College Possible with open arms to the school. And it's such a great symbiotic relationship that we have with them, so that they see us as really adding value to the work that they do.
Well, and it certainly sounds like what College Possible does is really providing a pretty good asset for the students. Now, you answered a little bit of my question, next question, because you mentioned you start out at junior level. But if there's a senior this year that needs some assistance, or maybe they're just hearing about it for the first time, they can still get that help, right?
Absolutely. So this year, we are working with both juniors and seniors. So the juniors that we worked with last year are seniors now. So they're working with their coach on getting their applications in, which are much of which is already done, and then completing the FAFSA, and then doing a pretty big and broad scholarship search. We like to help our students capture and secure as much financial aid as they possibly can, and applying for scholarships and digesting. So in a couple of months then, students will start getting back financial aid packages from schools that they've been admitted to, and the coach will then be helpful with, okay, here's this package that you got here, here's another package that you got here. Let's talk about the ramifications of these two so that you can make a good decision. Fit is so important when it comes to actually earning a college degree. If you go to a school where it's a good fit for
Right.
you
You'll
and
have
you
a
can
good
be
experience.
successful, that's, just paves the way.
Well, it sounds like Azende is a perfect example of that. But Azende, because you went through the program and you're almost graduating college, if you were able to give advice to a student who was maybe thinking about it, or even the parents of those students, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them to just jump right into it. I think it's a great opportunity not only to get involved with College Possible, but to just go into college in general. I feel like it's a learning environment for like a playground for you to just explore and experiment. And I think College Possible really does set their students up for success and like in every aspect of like their lives at the campus.
So, just out of curiosity, any plans after college? Stay
Hopefully
in the area?
hopefully to get a job.
Mhm. And,
Hopefully to
and
get a
again,
job.
what field are you looking for?
Graphic design and communications.
Okay, so if any of our local businesses are watching or listening, Azende graduates in 2020.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we really have some good, I would call them almost like an internship with a lot of the local businesses where we kind of want to grow our own. The people that choose Stevens Point, Century Insurance is a big one. Skyward does that. I know Key Mobility, Martin Machining, all of those have like apprenticeship type programs where they'll start you out at either in high school or college and start learning their companies with the hopes of then hiring you on. So hopefully someone's watching and listening. Edie, we just have a couple of minutes left. Why don't you give us some information about maybe the website or any phone numbers where people who are interested in learning more can find out?
Sure. The best way to connect with us is via our website, which is collegepossible.org, O-R-G. There you'll find a lot of basic information about what we do and how we do it. And then you'll see the various locations that we serve students through. The other thing that I would like to put a plug in for, so as people are watching this, if they're like, well, that sounds great, what could I do? Please talk to the people in your lives who are going to be graduating from college pretty soon and put a bug in their ear about considering being a coach with College Possible. Every year we need to recruit almost 40 coaches to work with our students, and it's a really great experience. You get so much independent work and really can build a resume. Having service on your resume is always a really great thing. And you can change lives by coming
It
and
certainly
working
sounds
for us.
like it. Yeah. So it's a really good program. Any thoughts of expanding this in the future? Maybe outside of Spash, DC Everest, or Lincoln?
Those are conversations actually that we're having right now, and we should be able to have some determinations this spring. So we're looking at a couple of different things. One is exactly what you said, which is seeing if we can expand our footprint around Stevens Point to some other districts where there is need and that are maybe under-resourced when it comes to college counseling. And then we are also looking at the possibility of going to a different part of the state. So that all is going to be determined over the course of the next several months, and so I'll get back to you. I'll come back. We
We'll
can
do a
talk
sequel.
about, yeah, we can talk about what happens next.
Well, great. So if anybody wants to know more, collegepossible.org. I want to thank you very much for joining us today. Azende, I'm hoping that once you graduate, you're going to be able to settle your roots down here in Stevens Point. We'd love to have you. It sounds like you've really got it going on and got things together. We could probably use you as a coach, maybe. There you go. So thank you again, Edie and Azende, for joining us today. Until next time, I'm Mayor Mike, and we've been Talking Point.